What's up guys, Joseph Rakic here from josephrakicfitness.com, and today in this video I'm going to show you my top 3 exercises for building and developing the biceps. So exercise 1 is flat bar or barbell curls. Now the reason this is my number 1 exercise is because it allows you to put a lot of weight on the biceps, and the more weight that you can put on the biceps, the more chance for overload and progressive overload you can apply. And at the end of the day, progressive overload is what actually builds muscle. So right now we're on to our first exercise. Ideally you want to hold it shoulder width apart, you want to curl it up, and then ever so slightly bring your elbows forward for a better contraction. Only slightly, and I'll explain why in a second. So the reason we want to bring our elbows slightly forward is so we can get a better contraction of the bicep. Now, ideally you don't want to use too much swaying, because the more that your elbows come forward, the more your front delt will be used to lift that weight up, deactivating the biceps, putting the stress here. So you don't want to be doing this. Otherwise this muscle does all of the work. But doing it here, you can't get the same contraction than if you did just a little elbow movement. So every single rep, I curl it, elbows come slightly forward. Very, very small movement. And that just allows you to get a better contraction of the bicep muscle. Better contraction means more muscle fibers ripped. More muscle fibers ripped means more growth. Now, I'm going to be doing anywhere between 3 to 5 sets on this, with the rep range between 8 and 15. I like to start off with a higher rep range, and then each set I essentially increase the weight, and as the weight increases, the reps decrease. Exercise number 2 for the biceps, and that exercise is dumbbell concentration curls. Now the reason I like a dumbbell concentration curl is because this exercise specifically places a lot of stress and a lot of emphasis on the bicep long head. The bicep is made up of 2 main muscle heads, the bicep short head and the bicep long head. I'll put a diagram on the screen right there so you can see the difference. Now, any exercise that you perform, both heads, the short head and the long head, are worked and are activated. But depending on the exercise that you perform, there'll be more or less stress on the short head versus the long head. Now, the short head is where the mass of the bicep comes from, but the long head is where the bicep peak comes from. So when you're doing a bicep flex, it is your bicep long head on the outside that actually sits above and on top of the bicep short head. So the more development and the more muscle hypertrophy you have in the bicep long head, the better bicep peak you'll have, the higher the mountain peak will be on your biceps. And that is why concentration curls are exercise number 2. Now, again, there's a little bit of a technique. I don't want to be just doing this. I want to be curling and again, slightly moving my elbow forward to get that better contraction. So you see my elbow come forward on every rep, ever so slightly. And so for this exercise, you want to do anywhere between 3 to 5 sets, and the rep range anywhere from 8 to 20 reps. Exercise number 3, guys, is bicep pull-ups. Now the reason I like this exercise is because you're hitting the biceps from a completely different angle. Most people when they're in the gym, 99% of the exercises that they do are all curls. Now, the bicep is a muscle that is used to pull. So it only makes sense to do an exercise in your bicep routine that is a pulling movement. And a bicep pull-up is one of the best exercises to achieve that with. Now, if you look at any of these male gymnasts who literally spend all day pulling themselves up on rings, they're not in the gym doing bicep curls. They're just pulling their own body weight up all day. And if you look at their biceps, they're absolutely crazy. It's because of the pull-ups that they do. That is why I believe pull-ups should be in your routine, and that is why pull-ups are my number 3 exercise for building and developing the biceps. What you want to do is you just want to make sure that your elbows, your shoulders, and your hands are all in line. You also don't want to be pulling from your back. You want to try and deactivate your back, because we're not doing a pull-up for our back, we're doing it for the biceps. So we want to deactivate the back and only try and pull from the bicep muscle. Dead hang. And that right there, guys, is my top 3 exercises for building and developing the biceps. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree with those 3 exercises, or if you think there is a better 3 exercises for building the biceps. If you think so, let me know in the comments down below. Now, for anyone wanting to get in the best shape of their life, my Shred 90 challenge is now live. So to get started on that, link is in the bio. Take that free quiz, takes about 60 seconds, answer a bunch of questions. You will then receive an estimated calorie intake, as well as protein, carbs, fats for you and your specific goals, and the perfect workout type of program for you, as well as the recommended diet you should be following. So, link down below. See you on the inside.